Coming up on the Epoch News, we talk about US Attorney John Durham, who is reportedly appointed to further investigate the FBI on the Spygate scandal, and why is he the perfect candidate? And folks, thanks for tuning in. I'm Angela Anderson. Today's report was written by Ivan Pentchoukov. According to Reuters, Attorney General William Barr appointed US Attorney John H. Durham in Connecticut to investigate whether spying on President Trump's presidential campaign in 2016 was adequately predicated. The Department of Justice didn't respond to a request to confirm the appointment. Durham will scrutinise the conduct of several current and former senior FBI officials, including former Director James Comey, former Deputy Director Andrew McCabe, and former Deputy Assistant Director Peter Strzok. Those officials were involved in obtaining a warrant to spy on former Trump campaign associate Carter Page, and deployed at least 2 spies to target Trump campaign advisor George Papadopoulos. Now, we know Durham may be one of the most uniquely qualified prosecutors for the job, as in the year 2000 he exposed a group of FBI officials who used murderers as informants. The agents covered up a murder committed by a pair of mobster informants by framing 4 innocent men. The conspiracy to cover up for the murder involved the agents, their supervisors, and the FBI director himself, according to a ruling by a judge who awarded the frame men and their estates more than $100 million in 2006. The Bureau didn't appeal the ruling. Also, Durham's findings led to a congressional investigation of the FBI's use of confidential human sources. In 2003, Congress released a scorching 3,500-page report titled "The FBI's Use of Murderers as Informants." The report concluded that the FBI's conduct in the case amounted to one of the greatest failures in the history of federal law enforcement. In the wake of the murderer-informant lawsuit and investigation, the FBI overhauled its confidential human source program. As a result, Durham will be probing the same program, which has been reformed as a result of his prior work. Also, Christopher Steele, the former British intelligence officer who compiled the infamous dossier of opposition research on Trump, was a confidential human source on the FBI's payroll during the 2016 election. The Bureau fired Steele after he broke the rules of the confidential human source program by speaking to the media. However, before firing Steele, the Bureau used his dossier to obtain a Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act warrant to spy on Carter Page. Now, according to sources cited by Reuters, the Associated Press and Fox News, in addition to appointing Durham, Barr is also personally working with FBI Director Christopher Wray, CIA Director Gina Haspel, and Director of National Intelligence Dan Coates to review intelligence gathering techniques used to investigate Trump's 26 campaign. The DOJ, DNI and CIA didn't respond to requests to confirm the reports, and the FBI declined to comment. A probe into the legality of the warrant to spy on Page is already underway by Justice Department Inspector General Michael Horowitz, who is due to release his findings in the coming weeks. We also know that in 2017, former Attorney General Jeff Sessions assigned Utah's top federal prosecutor, John Huber, to review a wide range of issues, from how the FBI handled investigations related to Hillary Clinton to questions about the origins of the Russia probe. President Trump nominated Durham as Connecticut's US Attorney in November 2017. The Senate confirmed him in February 2018. In the murderer-informant investigation, Durham looked into the 1965 murder of Edward Teddy Deegan. His investigation uncovered that the FBI knew for months in advance of a mob plot to kill Deegan, but withheld the evidence against the informants involved. Instead, 4 innocent men were convicted for the murder. 2 of the men died in prison before Durham completed his inquiry. A congressional report on the matter stated known killers were protected from the consequences of their crimes and purposefully kept on the streets. The lead prosecutor in the Deegan case said he wouldn't have moved forward with the prosecution if he knew of the evidence withheld by the FBI. And according to the congressional report, the prosecutor said that information should have been in my hands. It should have been in the hands of the defence attorneys. It is outrageous. It's terrible. And that trial shouldn't have gone forward. As we can see, the withholding of evidence in the Deegan case is very similar to Durham's new assignment on the investigation of the Trump-Russia investigators. Also, according to a report by the House Intelligence Committee, the FBI was aware that Steele was biased against Trump before the agency submitted an application for a spy warrant on Page. The Bureau also withheld the facts that Steele's dossier was funded by the Clinton campaign. The FBI's investigation of the Trump campaign eventually evolved into the one led by Special Counsel Robert Mueller, which concluded in March that there is no evidence Trump or anyone on his campaign colluded with Russia. We also know Durham handled one of the highest profile investigations of the CIA in decades. In 2008, Attorney General Michael Mukasey had Durham tapped to investigate the destruction of videotapes of the CIA's interrogation of terrorism suspects. Months later, Attorney General Eric Holder asked Durham to also probe whether the agency's interrogation techniques ran afoul of the law. In 2010, Durham didn't recommend charges in the investigation of tape destruction. He also recommended that most of the interrogation cases be closed, but called for additional scrutiny in the cases of 2 detainees who died in US custody. Durham's CIA inquiry is yet another link to his new assignment. Former CIA Director John Brennan has said that intelligence he collected from foreign sources while heading the agency in 2015 and 2016 was used to establish the FBI investigation of the Trump campaign. And so, folks, it's clear with such a vast experience and history that US Attorney John Durham has just what it takes to do this job. We'd love to hear your thoughts below, and please make sure to give this story a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, make sure to follow along with us by hitting the subscribe button. Thanks for tuning in. I'm Angela Anderson.